Hey, what's up? So today what we're going to go through is another horror manga, not shoujo horror, but just horror in general. This is a manga called The Human Clock by Tokunan Seiichirou, originally published in 1962, but this specific edition was done by the QJ Publishing, or QJ Publisher, in their QJ Manga Selection series. So it's a series of manga that get these special editions. Other mangaka off the top of my head would include Umezz. Umezz had a work that was revived with a special edition in the QJ series. You've also got Kazuhiko Miyaya is another person as well. You've got another fleshbomb mangaka, the one who did what was it called? Actually, I don't remember the name off the top of my head. I'll put it in the description. But yeah, QJ Manga Selection series are these special editions, and this one here is a revival of an original work that was published in 1962 by, again, the mangaka Tokunan Seiichirou. And this one's pretty interesting because they've actually published two manga, this one and another one from the same mangaka. The story behind the mangaka is it is kind of sad as well, looking at their professional career as a mangaka. So what it is that in this book you get two manga, the titular story, The Human Clock, and another one which is called something like The Cat's Morning Suit. And just to give some information about the mangaka, so Tokunan Seiichirou, he was born in 1934 and he passed away in 2009. And so he was the eldest of 8 siblings, and he was actually very short. He stopped growing at 1.4 meters due to like some issue in his body, some physical abnormality, and he was sadly bullied for it. So his very first work that he released was something called The Samurai Who Cut Through Shadows in 1955. And just for your information as well, I'm getting a lot of this from not only the Wikipedia, but also the free English translated essay on Comipress, which is titled Manga Zombie. I'll put a description of that in below, but that does a little spotlight on a couple of different manga, including Seiichirou, including other people like Miyaya as well. So feel free to check that out. It's sort of like a critic's look at the weirder side of manga. This one definitely counting as that. But yeah, The Samurai Who Cut Through Shadows, published in 1955, that was apparently quite heavily influenced by Tezuka at the time. Tokunan Seiichirou used another pen name then, but they did publish a lot in Kashihon, but unfortunately the stories that they published weren't successful really, and in terms of his career it led to a sort of decline and I guess desperation as well, where once we start going through the story, and I'll just quickly flip through, you can tell the art is not you wouldn't consider it really like clean, the way it's drawn, and this developed from over the course of his professional career, not finding that much success, sort of culminating into this point where you had this extremely strange and weird style on top of the stories as well. And yeah, Tokunan did quit manga after, and he said that he would go and sell watches for a living in 1963. But I also found as well that, so he became a salaryman after that, and he also, while working, had done some oil paintings under a different name as well. So I will put that in the description if you're interested to see what sort of things he did. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting, his story, how his manga progressed. And in the Comipress Manga Zombie essay, you can see images as well, that they provide pictures of some of his other works. So I would definitely recommend that resource to look at. So yeah, we'll just get started. So the first story is The Human Clock. So really cool color pages starting us off. And what we have is, this story is very strange. So I'll say as well that although the stories are critically and objectively not that, how would I say, refined, I still had a really great time reading this manga, to be honest. It's really weird, strange, and it's got this mysterious atmosphere that you can feel throughout the entire thing. So yeah, it's not something you'd read for like a quote unquote good story per se, but just reading horror, reading something different. That was really fun. So what the premise of this manga is, the human clock story, is that we have a boy over here. He lives with his parents in a clock and watch shop. So his parents sell these different clocks and watches everywhere. And what it is that we start off with him just coming back to the shop, and we get like a little survey of all the different types of clocks and watches that they sell in very weird designs. So what it is that to start things off, the servant notices that one of the watches starts to like break, and notices other watches breaking as well. You've got this interesting panel here. This reminds me of like fingerprints. Not sure entirely what it is supposed to be, but right now what we're seeing is that he's having like a nightmare about going to school. He doesn't like going to school. So what it is that his parents get him some tutors, or a tutor. And you know what this reminds me of? This specific panel, the way it's composed, it's like, it reminds me of that one Tsuge Yoshiharu story. I think it's called The Lee Family, where it's just like the house and the Lee family just staring out. Just like a random thing that I noticed as well. But yeah, we just continue on with the story here where he notices all these things breaking as well. And very strange just panels of the clocks everywhere. And as well, if you've noticed the proportions of the face, the way that he designs the face of his characters and their facial expressions are also quite strange as well. It's sort of like a loose style, but I do like that a lot. But yeah, what we have is this person here is the tutor that was hired. To pretty much sum it up, the tutor was kind of trash. So yeah, did not last that long. But here he is just talking to the boy. We can skip over this too. I'm not really sure why the tutor was a big part of the story, but he gets kicked out after a bit. But the main sort of thing that pops up with the story in terms of the premise of clocks and watches is this sort of panel here where he encounters this weird like clock person. This is supposed to be like a clock or a watch on this person's head. And he starts talking to him and tells him a couple of different things. His parents had actually gone out to try and recruit more workers for the shop, but in the meantime, this watch old man talks to him, explains some stuff, and this is also really interesting as well, the way it's drawn. These are the parents, and if you notice, the dad looks like a crow or a raven here, and the mum is shielding her face, because what had happened to the mum was that her face had, or I think her whole head had turned into, it was growing, clock hands, if you can see over here. Very strange stuff. And it's a very big thing. You know, he's sort of laughing at it, but his dad's like, why are you laughing? That whole thing. He has more conversations with this clock person, and he kind of gets transported, or like he gets a dream where he gets transported into this other world, I guess, over here. And he sees like the clock people. I think that's what they are, clock people. Then we get a little time skip where they move out. The whole family moves out. And what it's revealed is that between the time that he had the dream and the present right now, his body was turning into a clock. So some rats come and attack him. And what his parents find is that when he fell, his organs had, I guess, spilled out here, and they've turned into like clock springs or clock parts. And it's revealed that over time, like a year beforehand, his body had started that transformation. So yeah, that was pretty interesting, a pretty interesting story to experience. It's weird. I don't think I've seen anything in this sort of style, but I appreciate how creepy it is with the way that he draws things, the way that the characters are portrayed visually, the way the boy acts, and just like the shadows. I love the shadows that Tokunan uses, and these weird panels of just scissors, clocks, random silhouettes. Really amplify the atmosphere and the sort of horror aspect of this story. Like my favorite parts of this story are these one panel artworks, especially like that double page one that we saw before with the, with the clock person. Here we go. This was really nice. You just have these streams of white, him discovering this clock person. We're not given any reason or explanation of why they pop up. I guess this doesn't really matter in this story. It's just a story of a boy turning into a clock. I don't know if there's any message of it. I didn't really look for a message because I just wanted to experience it just for the first time without really critically thinking too much and knowing his context as well of Tokunan. I guess you could kind of see personal influences in there, like his the boy not wanting to go to school could be related to how Tokunan himself was, because he was bullied for his stature. That could be related to that too. But yeah, in general, pretty interesting story to start things off. But that's just the first one. The second one is the longest story. So this one is called The Cat's Mourning Suit. So mourning, not as in like, in the morning, daytime. No, mourning as in like funeral mourning, mourning a loved one. This one is a lot more strange and weird compared to the human clock. The human clock, honestly, compared to this story, was more linear and easy to understand. So I'll do my best to describe what is happening. I'm not going to get it fully correct, but in the manga zombie essay in Tokunan's section, they do, the essayist does give like a premise and explanation of what does happen. So I'm going to also be using that as well to help me explain what is going on. But yeah, in terms of the premise of this, it's hard to sum up really in just like a couple of sentences what happens in this story. We have another boy as a protagonist. This time he is living in a boarding house next to a pile of dump. So a lot of neighbors just dump a lot of their rubbish next to him. So it's a pretty bad location to live at. Also really cool, we've got like him and his friend, they go to the cinemas, the theaters, and it's cool seeing like this advert for a story. I wonder if this looks like a real advert from that time. But yeah, the relationship between him and his friend was a little bit confusing for me. I didn't really understand it too much. But the first plot point of this story starts when he notices this gigantic fly, and he kills it, I think, or he hits it. And what had happened is that slowly, after he kills the fly, this weird silhouette pops up on the wall. And what it is that it's supposed to be the ghost of the fly. So I'll skip through a couple of scenes with him and his friend at high school. But he's kind of scared now. Doesn't want to go home because of that ghost. Weird things start happening to him. He's just running and running. He also meets a nun as well, who is also quite mysterious. But yeah, he moves into a boarding house that his friend's dad owns. Finds the ghost sleeping, which is interesting. But I also find this like panel quite funny as well. The way his body is like drawn like that. The way he's walking looks kind of funny. But yeah, man, it's tough to figure out what is going on here. The main thing is that, yeah, the ghost of the talking fly is supposed to be like an omen of some sorts, I guess. Very strange panel there. Also another baseball scene, which I don't really know the purpose of. This is him with his friend. And again, one of my favorite parts of his manga is that we've got these separate one-page artworks that are just very nice to look at. Fit the vibe a lot. He encounters a cat, a black cat, which will be important later. But yeah, a lot of different shenanigans. He finds the nun again. Interesting turtle imagery there. But essentially, let me just check my notes for a bit because this was so confusing. I didn't fully understand the story. It was hard to figure out. But there's again another cool panel here. He's in the graveyard, I think, and he sees the nun doing some weird stuff. A little bit suspicious. Here's like a funeral procession as well. And then we've got the ghost of the talking fly pushing a pram of sorts. So it's very nightmarish material. It also has the strange plot progression of a nightmare as well. But yeah, what it is that he gets transported, I believe, into another dimension by the talking fly. The nun confesses that she was the cat and that her father was a victim of the Hiroshima bombing. So yeah, I think this is where they drag him in, maybe? No, maybe not. Or is it here? I don't remember exactly. This is weird. He's talking to like a person that explains some stuff about either the fly or the bombing. Yeah, I apologize if I'm not really making any sense because frankly, this didn't make much sense to me either. But yeah, the way the story ends is that so the nun is a vampire apparently. The ghost of the talking fly and the nun are together. They explain a little bit about the bombing, etc., etc. And then later on, his corpse turns up at somewhere. So they discover his corpse and no one knows, but no one cares about what happened to him. But yeah, that was the cat in the morning suit story. I don't know what to make of it, honestly. This one was a little bit less enjoyable to read because although I love the art and these weird panels that we get, I love the atmosphere of it. The story was just so confusing and I didn't know where it was going. I didn't know the point of it. At least with the human clock story, although it doesn't matter, like it doesn't matter whether this one had a message or not, it was a plot that was understandable enough, so everything else worked in terms of how it was portrayed in manga form, with the arts, with the characters, with the panels like this. So definitely my favorite was the titular story of the human clock, but second story, a little bit harder to appreciate at this moment. But yeah, so I will put in the description a couple more resources that I found on Tokunan. So that includes the Comic Press Manga Zombie essay. I'll put up his Wikipedia. I'll see whatever else I can find on Tokunan. But they, from this QJ manga series, they do have another work published under Tokunan. So in the future, once I get that, I will also show that off. But yeah, this one was a really interesting one to read. It was mostly enjoyable, more related to the human clock story. But yeah, I think I said beforehand in a video from a while ago that this seemed like something that the Smudge imprint of publisher Living the Line books would put out. Currently, they have Her Frankenstein by, what was their name? Kawashima Norikazu, that's out. At this time of recording, UFO Mushroom Invasion by Marina Shirakawa should be out. And this is what I'm talking about, Smudge. Just got a sticker here from them. Just in terms of the weird, rarer, older horror works, I think definitely The Human Clock, the first story, would fit. I'm not sure about the second one. But that was just my random thought. Like, oh, this kind of fits into the whole vibe of Smudge and their imprint. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed this one. This one was a really weird one, but a very beautiful book to have, actually, just having the red four edges. Very solid book as well. The paper quality is very strong. The ink is also very strong as well. So QJ did a very good job of reviving this and putting this special edition out. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.